Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my Let's Make an Open World RPG. DawnHaven. This has been bothering me, but let me go ahead and fix this now. Fix. This is 12, 13, 14. This is episode 15, ladies and gentlemen. In this episode, actually, first of all, I would like to start off with what I've done in the background. Well, when I say background, I mean off video. So basically I did skill fail tracker. What this basically does is keep track of these new variables I've made. So if you fail at a skill 5 times, so each time you fail a skill, you do gain a skill fail. The PP basically stands for pickpocketing, that's an LP which stands for lockpicking, TH which stands for thievery, and ETC. So anyway, so when you fail when you fail an attempt to like do a skill, then you gain one of these skill fail points. And once you reach 5 of them, you gain an additional skill point, which is what the skill tracker does. Basically says once the skill fail has reached 5, then add 1 to the skill and then set it back to 0, so it restarts. So once you reach 5, you gain 1 skill point, so it reaches it goes back to 0 and you start all over. So that's basically what all of this does. The only one skill that it doesn't actually affect is the survival skill, which is going to be handled differently from the other skills. So that's one thing I've done in the background. The other thing I did in the background is basically regulate. Before, the pickpocketing wasn't regulated. When I mean regulated is the skill switch on. That means whenever you pick someone's pocket, even if you fail or don't fail, it's always gonna give you the same result. But now it gives you a different result based on if you failed or not, which is what the skill switch equals on does. I've also did it in the wood one, which I forgot to do when I was working on it, and that's actually one major flaw that I think I forgot to include, which is turning it off after it's been turned on. Let me copy this because I definitely did not do that. Oh, now I have to delete all 50 of those trees, which sucks a bunch. Okay, turn it off before I go self switch. So just make sure self switch is good. Okay, it doesn't really matter. So while this is where the tree is, I'm just gonna go ahead and turn the switch off, and then that. So and then I did go ahead and add the trees into DawnHaven itself. I have made 50 copies of the tree, and I've also decided to use my other spawning script that I'm using. So I have 2 spawning scripts that basically turn off switches / set switches after after a specified amount of time. So the one I'm using for NPCs will be the extended timer, and the ones I'm going to be using for events that I replicate is going to be Gal's event spawn timer, because the main difference is that Gal's event spawn timer has a feature of where you could just set it to the event self and the map self. So if you set it to 0, then if you set the event to 0 in the so this is how it's set: map ID, event ID, time. If you set map ID to 0 and set event ID to 0, then it's gonna look at the map that you're currently in and the event that you're currently interacting with, and then set that timer. So that saves me a lot of time, especially when I have to copy and paste different events. Whereas for extended timer, I have to specify which event, and it doesn't like allow me to do it the way this one does. And the reason why I'm using this one for the NPCs too instead of this one is I prefer to specify which NPCs that affected. That might change over the course of the development, which I might mostly switch to that one. But for now, I'm keeping the standard timer for NPCs and that one for stuff such as these trees. And that took me about 5 minutes to explain. So anyways, before I continue with the video, I'm gonna have to delete all these trees that I've pasted. Reason being that I forgot to turn off the skill switch in the event itself. So if I didn't turn off the skill switch, then it would just be chaos, because that switch regulates all my events, and if one event screws it up, all my other events get screwed up too. So I've already copied a version that Control E. Okay, apparently not. So basically, just need to copy this tree, go back to DawnHaven itself, paste it, make sure I have the right event. Okay, this is another thing that I did off screen. Is basically this. I basically set the regions where the trees can spawn. I set it to the same region as the deer. That means anywhere the deer can spawn, the trees can also spawn, and those places are basically the green area minus the deadlands and the snow. So everything that's green, the trees can spawn there. Although there may be a case where the trees might spawn at places that I don't want, namely like the bridges. But again, I have a way to fix that, and that's basically all I have to do is just change the ID of any place I don't want it to spawn to 1. So as you can see, all these places are 1. That means nothing can spawn there. Again, if we go over to the city, it's all 1. So all I basically have to do is go up to the bridge, or to the bridges, or like any place I don't want stuff to spawn, and just basically just change that to 1. That's all I have to do. But I'm gonna do that off video. I don't want to waste people's time doing that right now. So anyways, I'm gonna go back into DawnHaven, go back into my regular event, and what I'm gonna do right now is basically just copy and paste that tree 100 times, because I've copied and pasted it 50 times and no lag at all. So I'm trying to push it to give you as many trees as possible. So that's 1, 2. All I basically have to do is fill up this whole thing, because it's a 50 by 50 grid, so I don't even have to keep track. Oh my gosh, I keep skipping. Do it slower. Okay, then do one more. I have tested this out and it does work the way I've planned it. So anyways, the only thing I have to do now to make sure the trees spawn where I want them to do is basically set those marker region IDs to 1. Okay, we are back, and after it's been actually like 1 hour or something like that of experimentation and looking for new scripts, of looking at new scripts and stuff like that. I finally got everything to work as we planned. So anyways, so one of the drawbacks of having an open world with a lot of events in it is lag, and so far the game is handling the lag pretty well. But one of the things that I will be sacrificing is basically when you press escape, it kind of takes a few seconds extra longer to actually get into the menu, as it would if there was not if all these events weren't there. Anyways, this is one of those trees, so if we left this map and came back, this tree will always be here. The only way this tree will not be here is if we started a new game, and then the positions of those trees would move. And if you also look at like how the game is moving, you could actually see that it's kind of lagging, but it's not lagging so much that it would actually take away from the gameplay. It's a few frames lower, and it drops in frames in some places, but still the lag right now is minimum to none, because in some places it starts to lag but you don't really notice it. In other places it runs just fine, and that's only when you're in the main DawnHaven map. But once you enter the city or enter a location, you won't notice a lag at all. Even the menu lag goes away. As you can see, it's opening almost instantaneously as when I pressed it, opposed to that. It took a little bit longer because it was still loading the map when I did that. But yeah, you could see it. So as you can see, everything is like freezing and stuff, and then it goes into it. So yep, that is it. and we have done this. So basically it's going to be the same thing for mining. I am gonna cut off some parts in this video because at the beginning I was wasting time just trying to get it to work and it wasn't actually working. So anyways, the wood cutting one is gonna be the same. It's going to be actually the mining skill is going to be the same as the wood cutting skill, but the only difference is the mining one will yield random items, not based on anything. They're always going to be random. So yeah, they're always going to be random, and I just need to actually close this and save it, and then go back over here and then open up here we go. So it's always going to be skill. Okay, it's always going to be random. So we're going to be doing the mining one right now. So the mining is going to be more closer to the fishing one than anything. The harvest one is going to be closer to the wood cutting, because all we're doing is taking out a specific it's actually going to be closer to the thievery skill. But anyways, let's get right into the mining. For the mining again, we can basically, let me just thank you guys again for watching. I am going to be cutting this video off here, mainly because it went on for too long. I started to do the mining one. I'll do the mining one in another episode, although I did do some stuff in the mining section. I'm gonna just go ahead and explain to you again. The mining is the same thing as the wood cutting and the other skills I've made. The only difference is when you mine something, it gives you a random material. Some material have a higher chance of coming up, and some have a lower chance of coming up. So that's basically what that it's doing. So anyways, thank you guys again for tuning in. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to be updated every time I release a new video. And make sure to like this video if you liked it, dislike this video if you disliked it, and also, as always, make sure to tune in for the next episode. These skill episodes are gonna take a few more episodes, maybe 3 or 4 more episodes for me to have all the skills complete 100%. And then after that, we're gonna move on to other exciting stuff that we're going to be doing, which are going to be exciting, mainly setting up the NPCs and the stuff like that. So anyways, thank you guys again for tuning in. Peace.